But who better than me?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the casual stream, the last casual stream boxing related for 2024 with your boy Base the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe. If you have a friend, a colleague, a relative, associate, enemy, any and all in between, it's appreciated. As you can see, we're kind of back to base. I'm doing this one on my phone. I thought that all of my stuff from the laptop would track on here, but I didn't have time to set the laptop up. I'm literally only going to be here maximum about 50 minutes. By sort of 20 to 9. I've got to jump off. I do have somewhere that I need to be, but I wanted to get this in. I was trying to do this yesterday, and the plan was to have my good friend Ade Oladipo come on. We was trying to sort it out. I think he came back from Saudi very late, and I know he's flown out to, I think he's gone to Nigeria today for the holidays, so he's off for a little while. So obviously hope he's had safe travels. If you are watching Ade, bless up, thank you for trying, and we will square something away in the new year. With that being said, obviously there was no lead up to this, so no one really knew if I was going to kind of do it. But yeah, I wanted to kind of just come on, and even though obviously there's a thumbnail, there's a graphic, it's literally just there to have a placeholder, to have something there on the screen. While yes, we happily can talk about anything Usyk Fury related and everything from the card on the weekend, this is more just like a bit of a thank you stream. You know, thank you for the people that have recently joined. Thank you for the people that have been here from the start. Thank you to, you know, those who have stuck through a lot of the teething problems or a lot of the sometimes inconsistent qualities of certain things, whether that be sound or whether that be, videos, maybe the background music jumping up loud randomly at one moment, maybe a video coming out silent, some of the interviews that have been done where things have gone wrong. Most recent one obviously was the last Shannon Ryan interview, which was a really good interview and ended up only having like 1 minute and 45 seconds put on TikTok because the rest of the sound and everything just messed up. So yeah, look, things like that, it happens. I remember this year, was it this year? I think it was early this year. I think it was early this year. I had my very first like proper Jayo Patai interview. And that one, I remember the very first one, like I'm going to remember it fondly. To me, it was the best interview that we had. And it's the one that no one else saw because I only had half the audio. So yeah, you know, these things happen. But outside of all of that, look, it's just happy to still kind of be here, be around, closing in on that 2K, you know, that elusive 2K. I feel like once I get to there, everything also kind of kick on and kick up. And obviously when it comes to obviously subscribers and where a lot of them come from, Ade first and foremost, big shout out to Ade for obviously helping with a couple of appearances that I did on his channel, also for the appearances I ended up doing on DAZN, which did bring a little bit of traffic over to me. Shout out to them. G-Man Boxing, the very last one we did, I did have a little bit of an increase of subscribers from doing a little live with G-Man. Boxing Beats and Rhymes, who's, you know, shouted me out on several occasions. I'm pretty sure some people have come from there. Thank you. Obviously the work that I've done with Joe Habib and and the round table, anyone who sort of come from that sphere, in the ring with Christine and sort of the was it women crushing it Wednesdays, when I've made appearances on that show. Obviously the stuff that I've done with October Red, Maestro, Danny Glover, you know, my partners in crime on the Fight Talk Live channel, any traction that has come from there, or even any of my subscribers that I've managed to bring over to there or bring over to their channels through constantly. shouting them out on various videos and stuff. Just big thank you to everyone who's been a part of it. Undefeated podcast as well, you know, shout out to everyone who came from the breakdown and subsequently wanted to come through. Of everyone who maybe appreciated the appearances for Monday Night Smoke. It's all appreciated, it's all noticed, it's all remembered. So thank you all, new and old. For the people that have actually subbed to the channel, that have actual subscriptions, that the people that have become members, I appreciate you. I need more members to do more members only content, but I did start doing that. I definitely want to try and make that more of a thing again in 2025 for you guys. Thank you very much. Any super chats that have come in, anyone who's liked and supported the content outside of boxing, you know, I've recently started doing some stuff like live sort of the PLE events for WWE, like the bigger ones, or anything with sort of the big storylines. I'm going to be doing one for the first Monday Night Raw on Netflix on the 6th of January. So yeah, people who enjoy that, obviously I'll do one for Royal Rumble, definitely do it for night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania. All the people that have joined in on that, the people that have come in for the new casual streams that we've done, where we're now starting just talking about films, boxing, UFC, TV shows, music, like just everything away from just specifically boxing, all of that stuff. Yeah, just thank you to everyone who's supported or who's enjoyed. Thank you to all the people who have left comments, good, bad, indifferent, positive, negative, critical. You know, I try and take the feedback for all of them. None of them get taken personally. The people that just interact in general, anyone who is like watching, who's maybe wanted to leave a comment but they thought, oh, it might be a bit negative or whatever, I'm, you know, as long as nothing is overly insulting or like, you know, racial or offensive to other people, you can leave and say whatever you like. You know what I mean? So I'm just thankful to everyone. Obviously I try to respond to the majority of people. Gets a bit harder as the, you know, as the subscriber count and that gets a bit bigger and the more comments get left, but I always try to acknowledge everyone at least. So yeah, that's pretty much my I guess my little opening salvo, 8 minutes in. Just again, thank you to everyone who's here, thank you to everyone who's been here, who continues to join in. The newest people are just as important as the long-standing people. Like, you know, that, you know, don't feel if you're late to the party that you're not as appreciated. You most certainly are. But yeah, just thank you obviously to everyone. It is Christmas Eve, so I'm not expecting people to be in and amongst their computers. I'm expecting people to be prepping, you know, Christmas dinner, etc. I'm actually heading out to go do to do some fun activities prior to Christmas in a couple of hours. So yeah, just generally thank you. Obviously I'll say a general happy holidays for everyone now. But yeah, let me see if there's any comments, see if anyone's in the chat, and then we'll kind of just get this underway for like the next 35 minutes or so, and then let everyone enjoy their evening. Okay, so Muller in the building, big up to you. Shout out to Philip. I thought you'd set a reminder. I didn't even know if I was going to be on today, Phil. So yeah, it's just a quick random one. Thank you for always being here in attendance though. Aaron, shout out to you. G-Man sent me big up. Yeah, big up to G-Man. He's brought another person over. So thank you very much for that, Aaron. Thank you for being here. Man like Tony, Pugilist Boy, shout outs to you. Bill Cavani, shout out to you. Definitely a new listener subscriber. Do you think AJ has a few fights left? I think there's 2 fights left for Anthony Joshua, possibly 3. There is always a potential to run that quote unquote trilogy back with Dillian White. So there's that fight. There is a potential that you do the the Dubois rematch. But most definitely, if Fury's on it, the Fury fight is definitely there. But I reckon once the Fury fight happens, he retires after that. I don't think he goes for any of the other guys. So it might have to be a sequence. It might have to be like, say, Dillian White, Daniel Dubois, Tyson Fury, or it might be Dillian White, Tyson Fury, then Daniel Dubois, like as the final one, to see if he can get that belt back. If Usyk drops back down to cruiserweight and those belts get fragmented, then yeah, there's a chance that he might come back and, you know, a fight just to pick up a belt and then bounce after that. But yeah, he's definitely capable of at least 2 to 3 more fights, but I think there's maybe 2 fights left to interest him. Ahydra Selassie, shout out to you. Big up, didn't even get notifications. No, the reason you didn't get a notification, literally, I just went live. There was no, I literally set it at 7:42 to start at 7:45, and that was only so I could put a thumbnail on it. So yeah, that's why there's no notifications. But I appreciate you being here. Always one of the consistent ones. It is appreciated. It's always noticed. Do you think Fury ducked him? Yes, in certain aspects I do. I think Fury was only ever looking to face Anthony Joshua at the most inopportune moments, or moments when it couldn't be done for optics purposes. That's not to say I don't think he couldn't beat him, but I think it's very much an Amir Khan, Kell Brook situation. You know, what's his name? Ricky Hatton, Junior Witter. Very much, I don't want to give you the opportunity to say that you're the best in this division by beating me. Or say you're the best in this country, or one of the best, or that you're better than me. So I think he was happy to take other tests. He did obviously make that the call out straight after Joshua lost the second fight to Usyk, but again, I think that was very much optics playing. It was to kind of score brownie points. Oh look, I offered him a title shot. He wasn't ready. He didn't want to take it. So I'm moving on to bigger and better things. I've still, you know, there's a lot of things within that situation that just make that whole thing very obvious in my mind. I know some other people will probably think differently and probably think, well, why would he duck someone that he can beat? But, you know, it happens. Shout out to Raymond Hells in the building. Big ups to you. Philip, what do you make of Frank saying the UK media outlets need to show Tyson Fury respect? He said the same thing after the first fight. Again, it's simply because Tyson Fury has said some things in the aftermath of the loss that has not necessarily ingratiated him to the public. And, you know, Frank Warren being the, you know, the promoter that he is, the, you know, the stand-up loyal guy that he is to the people that he really likes and respects, he's going to bat for him. I don't necessarily like a lot of it, especially when he talks about, he talks about his bipolar as if that's a reason for you to be able to get away with saying any and anything you want. No, yes, you might have a condition, but conditions still don't stop you from being held accountable for things you say and do. But look, I guess, you know, the Brits are gonna back the Brits to a certain extent, and I guess they're finding it hard to understand why, you know, the British media won't be looking or talking very favorable on the British guy who, you know, I guess left it all out there or tried to defend the honor of the country. You know, it's a bit tribalistic, but, you know, I think that ultimately the reason Tyson Fury isn't shown more respect is because he lost a lot of that respect with a lot of those people, and he may never, I doubt he'll ever get it back to the levels he had before. There are ways for him to, you know, to get some of the good graces back again, but just go in there and have more big fights, and I'm sure people will think more favorably to you. Base, do you think Fury will even take the AJ fight about trying to squeeze AJ on the split? Well, to be honest, I don't think that fight's there's not gonna be any issues about split because it's gonna be a Saudi backed thing. Even if it's in the UK, that fight's not getting paid for by Eddie and Frank. That fight will be paid for by either Riyadh Season or Ring. It's gonna be a Saudi backed event. Whether, I mean, really and truly, it should happen over here, but it will get back that way because even, you know, Turkey said that that's a fight he would love to do. He wants to see that fight, so he would facilitate that. So it wouldn't be a split. It would be, okay, how much do you want? How much do you want? Okay, if we make it, I can pay you that, will you take the fight? So yeah, I don't think that will be one of the issues on this particular one. He's being silly now, saying Wilder is the harder fight after losing to Usyk. Yeah, I mean, look, he has to talk up Wilder because Wilder is his most recent win. Wilder is the kind of, I guess, the best prime opponent he's had on his record. You know, if it was for the titles, he won the belt from him, and the ring, he won the ring belt off of Wilder, even though, you know, Wilder never held it to begin with, but he won the WBC, which is the one belt he never held. So it makes sense for him to talk up Wilder being his hardest fight, because ultimately he's saying, well, my best win was harder than this guy, because in his mind, even if it's just a coping mechanism, he still doesn't understand how this smaller guy beat him twice. So yeah, maybe the Wilder fights were more physically damaging in the sense that he got put down 4 times in the space of like 3 fights with Wilder, whereas in Usyk, he got counted once, walked all over the ring, dog walked all over the ring, but never like put down as such. So maybe that's what he looks at when he says that it was the harder fight. Frank wants empathy for Fury. Is funny when Fury shows 0 empathy for anyone else with the mental health advocate. Yeah, I mean, all the insults and stuff, you would think someone who does pertain and talk about, you know, being a mental health ambassador and being in that dark place, I'm pretty sure, you know, disrespecting people's physical appearances on numerous occasions and all of that stuff, and, you know, the foul mouth tirades and all of that, I'm pretty sure that's not becoming of it. But, you know, I guess maybe you get away with that in the act of the sport and just being a you know, a competitor. But yeah, is what it is, I suppose. Frank walking around with the scorecard pitching was content. I never knew I needed. But it's mad though, because you're walking around with a scorecard, but the scorecard was not in your favor in any shape or form. Funny enough, let's talk about the scorecard actually. So I looked at the scorecard the other day, and in the scorecard that was done, obviously the official scorecard, all of them 116, 112, but they had different rounds. So I looked through it, and I was looking at, okay, what rounds were unanimous to each guy. So Alexander Usyk unanimously won 5 rounds on the judges' scorecards. I'm trying to remember them off the top of my head. I think it was rounds 2, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. I think that's correct. I could be wrong on that, but I looked at it the other day. I should have wrote this down, but anyway, Usyk won 5 rounds unanimously. So I said, okay, if I scored those 5 rounds to him and then gave him 9 points for all the others, that's 113, right? Because that's 50 obviously for there, and then 63 is you know, the other 7 times 9. So 113 points to him. So then I said, okay, Fury. So Fury won unanimously on the judges' scorecards 2 rounds, which was rounds 4 and 5. So then, okay, I said, all right, if I give him 9 points for every other one, then his is 110. So if you look at it in terms of guaranteed rounds or agreed upon rounds, Usyk wins the fight 113, 110. that's a different metric than what you would normally score, right? Then you look at the judges. Then you look obviously the all the punch stats where he outlands Fury 11 rounds out of 12, even though Fury outthrows him 11 rounds out of 12. Was that correct? No, that doesn't sound right. What I've just said there. Fury outthrows him 11 out of 12 rounds, but he only outlands him in 1 round out of the 12. So it must be outlands him 1 out of those 11, whereas Usyk outlands him 11 rounds totally within the fight. So yeah, you look at that. So you say, okay, you look at it by the consensus rounds there. You look at it by I guess the clean, effective punches. Theoretically, the fight could have been a lot wider. The AI judge had it, probably if you look at it in process of what lands where and etc., like the AI judge is clearly they've been a lot more generous to Fury than the AI judge was. Fury had to get shares of 2 rounds to get 4 rounds, but Usyk gets 10. You know what I mean? So what was that? It's 8-2 and 2 even on the AI judge's scorecard to Alexander Usyk. Like, very comprehensive. So yeah, it's like no matter what metric you look at, Usyk is the clear and above winner. So, and also I saw Frank did an interview on, it was Box Nation. I've watched half of it, and he was talking about how he says, when they talk about power punches, well, that's not how you score. Who's got the most power punches? Well, that's not how you score a fight. He said if that's how you score a fight, then the guys who have got no power would never win a fight, would they? And I was like, and when I heard that, I'm like, Frank, come on, you know better. Like, a power punch is described as any punch that is not a jab. It's not about how hard the punch is or how much strength speed and power you can put behind the shot. It's any shot that's not a jab. You know that. So yes, if you land more power punches than your opposition in a fight, you will win, because the power punch is scored more. It's scored more effectively. It's scored as more important than the jab is. Obviously, yes, if you land like 17 jabs and then your opponent lands 9 power punches, the 17 jabs may win you the round overall, depending on obviously how they connect and sort of the cleanliness and the cleanness of that work. But the power punch will always take precedent over the jab, even if you got feather fists. And when Frank said that, I'm like, all right, so now you're really trying to you're really trying to insult the intelligence of the knowledgeable, trying to appeal to the to the vast public that literally don't know nothing. You're trying to appeal to the armchair casuals that know nothing about boxing apart from this guy punches that guy in the face and there's a knockdown. And when I heard him say that, I thought, Frank, you're better than that. Like, and so so when I score a fight, I score who I think is just being the busier in the round, and I was like, but then I was like, every metric you're trying to throw out as to how you scored this fight, you still can't give it to Tyson Fury, because Usyk was busier than him in almost every round in terms of his effectiveness, his movement. He was constantly moving. If you're making him miss, if you're making him hit gloves, like, he's not scoring, he's not landing. Like, anyway. He said he watched it back and he still gave it to Tyson, but he can understand where it's a lot closer than maybe he thought it was on the night. That's Frank basically saying, all right, I know he lost, but he's still my guy. I got to back him on this one. We also got to do me a favor in the interview with Box Nation. Okay, I haven't even got that far. I watched about half of it, and then I think I turned over to the relay. Shout out to Jules if he's watching. He can't really show Usyk appreciation when he still believes he beat Usyk twice. Meanwhile, he's got 2 wins over Wilder. Yeah, exactly. That's why you talk up the wins more than you talk up the losses. Because the losses you go, it was a robbery, so yeah, it wasn't a hard fight. But this guy, this was the guy. Like, And obviously he's going to die on that Wilder hill. But unfortunately, those Wilder wins are aging like milk left out in the Riyadh season sun in their summertime. Would you think AJ deserves that respect? Deserves what respect from the British public, the British media? To be honest, I think if people want to respect you, they'll respect you. Your body of work or what you do in life determines whether or not you deserve respect. But I don't necessarily think that respect is a thing that you can deserve as such. You earn it. So you can earn respect, you can lose respect. Maybe there's an argument to say it should. Like, you should deserve a modicum depending on certain achievements and metrics that you have in life. But yeah, I don't really know. I would personally think that he deserves more, or that he should get more respect in the UK media and the UK public than Tyson, for the simple fact that for the most part, he's conducted himself a lot better than Tyson has. He's been a lot more of a role model, if you're going to call it that. He's lived a certain way in public. He's dedicated himself, and he's treated his craft and his sport with a lot more dignity. That'd be my opinion. Let's see what else we got here. I doubt AJ versus Fury happens outside of London. Well, I would hope it does happen in the UK. I mean, if that fight went to Saudi, it would kind of be a bit of a travesty. But I do feel like they may say, well, we'll pay for it, but we don't know if we're going to give you another Wembley night, because, you know, you guys want to moan about everything. You want to moan about us putting the national anthem in it and that, you know, that sort of stuff. Man, them like Simon Jordan might have stopped them being willing to have that on UK soil. So I don't know. You never know. Fury said he won't fight again in the UK. I wonder if that's changed after his comments on Saturday night about not getting decisions in these countries. Well, you know, bipolar, innit? Maybe it was one half of him that said he'll never fight in the UK again. 4 stone lighter and 6 inches smaller. Usyk is special because Fury was very good. Yeah, I mean, Usyk is definitely special. Whether that means, because some people will say him being that special exposes the actual limitations of a lot of the guys that he's fought, because obviously he's got the skill set to show them up. Maybe it's a case of sometimes, look, these guys ain't as good as you think they are, but they're all on a similar level together. But then you get that other person that then just ends up being leagues ahead of them. So all of a sudden, oh, so these guys ain't actually like elite, because this is what happens when a real elite guy shows up. Similar to Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Like, you might say, people might say, oh, Errol Spence is elite, but when a real elite fighter came into the situation, the fight wasn't even competitive. And I think that's how you kind of can separate. You know, yes, you can have competitive rounds and a fight be a clear and decisive, but in that sense, it's like, well, no, so Errol Spence must actually just be world level, or he's like the best of these other guys, but this guy's different. That's Usyk. That's a new way. To a lesser extent, that's Canelo. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Tim Bradley seems to not be a fan of people calling Usyk the greatest of all time, but he's probably jealous that none of the American heavyweights are getting this type of praise. Well, no, let's be real. I mean, look, American heavyweights are primarily the ones thought of in that category as greatest of all time. Obviously, you have Lennox Lewis, who, you know, Brit, Jamaican, Canadian. So he kind of covers three different spheres and parts of the globe. Then you get Muhammad Ali, who most people will consider the greatest of all time ever when it comes to the heavyweight, the greatest heavyweight of all time, whether they think he's the best or not. But his resume is leagues ahead of everyone else. So normally you would say Muhammad Ali, then you say Lennox Lewis second. Usyk is definitely now in that top 5 category, because of obviously the achievements, not just at heavyweight, but at cruiserweight, but the fact he's done back to back with the 3, with, you know, reigning world champions. and dethroned all of them away from home. You know, okay, I know the Riyadh ones is neutral territory. The Poland one with Dubois was a home-ish type coming for him, but again, that's not his home. It's not where he lives. That's still foreign land to him. But yeah, just the fact of him being the road warrior, literally going into everyone's back garden and taking their belts and making it look easy for the most part, that's something you can't discount. He's obviously Evander Holyfield has never faced someone with, actually no, let me not say that, because Valuev I think was 50 pounds heavier than him. But yeah, on the whole, but he lost that fight technically, even though he didn't actually lose that fight. He won that fight, but he lost it on the cards. But yeah, Holyfield wasn't fighting people the size of Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois consistently when he went up to heavyweight. Not until towards the back half. But the thing is, I always rate Evander Holyfield higher than most other people do, and I have him in my top 5, possibly even my top 3. The thing it's hard to put him against Lennox Lewis, but again, I've always said Lennox Lewis never fought Evander Holyfield in his prime. And prime Holyfield, obviously undisputed cruiserweight, 2-time undisputed heavyweight champion. He was unified heavyweight champion twice. He was undisputed once, but he was heavyweight champion 4 times, legitimate heavyweight champion 4 times. Not any Reggie belts, not any funny organizations. Because if you add funny organizations in there, I think he held 6. He was a 6-time heavyweight champion, 5 or 6. Because I think at one point he held the WBU belt, the World Boxing Union belt, before it got disbanded. But he held the WBA heavyweight title, which he unified with Lennox Lewis. He obviously held the IBF, the WBC, and the WBA all together when he beat Buster Douglas. Lost those to Riddick Bowe. Then when he won in the rematch, he won the WBA and the IBF back off of Riddick Bowe when Riddick Bowe relinquished the WBC, threw it in the bin because of the whole thing with Lennox Lewis. Yeah. Then he lost those again in the other rematch. I think then he lost to Michael Moorer. He won a belt back from John Ruiz. He won a belt from someone. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Michael Moorer, someone like that. Won the belt, lost it out. Then I think he lost that belt to Michael Moorer. Then he won his 4th, the WBA heavyweight title from John Ruiz, and then unified that belt back with Lennox Lewis. And that was it. Yeah, that was his 4-belt run. Then he got the WBU and stuff after that. I think that's how it went. But anyway, Evander's one of my ATGs in terms of heavyweights because he obviously holds a record that no one else holds. He's the only ever 4-time world heavyweight champion in boxing history. So these Americans are moving funny since Saturday, not wanting to give Usyk credit and call him an ATG, and we all know why they don't want to call him an all-time great. Yeah, of course. I mean, look, we all know Americans have a hard time acknowledging anyone outside of America, but the guys who matter, like if we're being honest, look, the Terence Crawfords, even now Shakur Stevenson. I'm not saying obviously but the boxers are the ones that are now saying, do you know what, we was wrong. Like Shakur said it, I was wrong. Like Usyk is him. So he said Usyk different. So yeah. But the people in the know, like Canelo will tell you about Usyk, a Inoue will tell you about Usyk, a Crawford will tell you about Usyk. So the guys at the top of the sport who people think are the pound for pound guys, like if they're talking about him with that reference, then it doesn't really matter what the others are saying because real recognize real. Shout out to Iluka, no more best heavyweight of his generation talk. That myth has been broken into pieces. Yep. And at this point, he's fighting to be considered the number 2. So if he beats AJ, I think he's got a legitimate claim to saying he is number 2 because But actually, it depends on when we're classing the generation started from. Because in his generation, Wilder was of his generation. I guess technically AJ is a generation after, Dubois 2 generations after. It's tricky. It depends on what cycle we're going by, but yeah. Fury should now retire. Shout out to EMGM Sports, by the way. The AJ fight is meaningless at this point. I mean, I'll agree with that. It's a fight for third place at best, unless one of them can dethrone Dubois and get a belt out of it. If Usyk vacates all of the belts, he's got a heavyweight, and then they fight for a vacant belt, well, then Dubois becomes the number one guy at that point, and then everyone else has then got to see him beat him to then become the number one. So yeah, I understand what you say. It's a meaningless fight at this time, but it's still a big fight. It's still a fight that will get the minds and hearts of the public and whatnot. So shout out to Mo Ali. What's more likely, AJ Fury or Wilder Fury? I can't lie, I would not be surprised if we saw Fury Wilder 4, like and call it like redemption road or something like that, or one for the road. I could see that, but yeah, at this point no one will pay for it. So AJ Fury would be more likely, but yeah, I know if Fury had his choice, he would go for Deontay Wilder again, because he can lean on him and all the stuff that he used to do, he knows it will work. Well, if Fury was sparked out in one round, he will still object. Yeah, I'll say, oh, he caught me when I wasn't looking. The ref said break. Like, he's a cheat. He's not an honourable man. The ref said break. My attention was diverted. Bang. Caught me on the chop. So I even got up and the referee just wouldn't let me continue. He didn't nail me to the canvas. What is AJ's biggest win? I hear the pay-per-view and sell-out stadia, but CV-wise. If you're talking CV-wise, the biggest is obviously Klitschko, just because Klitschko was the most accomplished person he's ever fought. But in my opinion, his biggest win is actually the Alexander Povetkin win. If I was gonna put it that, I would say, yeah, Alexander Povetkin was his biggest win. Obviously, Povetkin was still in the he was still top 5 at that time. Former world champion. He wasn't in his prime, but he was closer to his prime when AJ fought him than Vladimir Klitschko was to his prime when AJ fought him. And it was a fight against a style that he didn't really have much experience of, and those shorter pop-up guys. Yeah, to me, I think the Povetkin win was his biggest win in terms of, like, on his CV. But yeah, accomplishment wise, it's obviously Klitschko. Actually, all right, Povetkin or Parker, even though it's not the Joseph Parker we have now, but I guess maybe, because that one unified a division, like, properly. It wasn't a vacant belt was put on the line like in Klitschko. He actually took a belt off of a champion and unified. So yeah, I'd say Povetkin or Parker are his biggest win. You can pick whichever one you choose from there. I love seeing Angry Frank. It's comedic. People should wind him up more. Yeah, the funny thing is, and you know what? As much as I don't really, haven't liked Umar a lot in the past, I actually liked what I heard from this interview. He actually was trying to press Frank on certain things, and you could see Frank was just getting annoyed the fact that he was being challenged. But I will respect Umar for doing that, because he doesn't usually do it. But he seems to be doing that a bit more now than he was before. So shout out to Jonah31 in the building. Oh, it looks like I got a super chat coming from G-Man. Shout out to you, G-Man. Appreciate it. All the way back in Ireland. When you get back to the UK after Christmas, it'll be good to catch up again. Really good. Anyone who didn't watch the live that G-Man and myself done on Sunday, go check that out on his channel. It was really good work. Yeah, appreciate him for coming over. And again, anyone who is here from his particular channel that came over, thank you very much, because I know a few of you did come and subscribe afterwards, which is great. Bill Cavani, Dubois embarrassed himself. He had no business getting in the ring, spoiling Usyk's moment when he has a fight with Parker. Yeah, that was nasty. The thing is, I can understand him coming in, but it's I think he just, in the moment, maybe you could wait a minute or two after that, or jump in as Usyk's about to leave. And it doesn't even have to be the way he came in, like, no, say, look, congratulations on the win. I'm gonna take care of Joseph Parker, but then I want a rematch with you. When I get past Parker, what are you saying? Let's run it back. But the way he came in was just mad cringe. It wasn't, there was no situational awareness. It didn't flow. You could tell that was almost like a rehearsed thing, because that wasn't the speech pattern, just the fluidity of someone that was in the moment. That felt scripted, and but the script isn't exactly how it needs to be. Something's a bit wrong here. It just felt bare wooden. He didn't cover himself in glory in that, but look, he's feeling himself these days. He's got a bit more confidence. I won't begrudge him that. Dubois looked silly post-fight. It was clearly rehearsed. And on that, there you go. So I'm not the only one who noticed that. Yeah, big up everyone. Merry Christmas. That's what Tony has said. Shout out to Tony. And yes, as we were saying earlier on, happy holidays to everyone. Can any modern fighter realistically get anywhere close to Ali legacy? The only person who possibly, if they fight long enough, if Moses can fight up until like 35, 36, and get a fight amount of 60 odd fights, then possibly. I mean, Klitschko has I know he's not technically modern, but he is obviously of the last generation. He had a legacy very similar. He was one of the last ones of that that 60 plus fight pro career in the heavyweight division at like high elite level. So he would be there, but yeah, none of these guys are going to be around long enough, because they don't fight often enough, because everything's about business and trying to make the most money. So yeah, not really. But their legacy now is going to be about how many people they beat. Because obviously, Ali had one of the deepest resumes ever, but there was a lot of substandard guys on there as well. Not just under the come up, some in the in-between bits as well. Similar to what Fury done. The only difference is Fury spread it out so far, you only really notice the substandard guys and not the occasional good opponent. Whereas Ali gave you a good solid like 22 like top draw, top level opposition in his run. Kevin, a prime Mike versus Lennox, who do you think wins? I think, I'm trying to think what Lennox's prime was, because Lennox, obviously he had 3 stages, 3-time world champion. He had the first set where he got knocked out by Oliver McCall, so that wasn't prime Lennox there, but that was like good Lennox. That was like young, springy Lennox. Then he comes back from that, has a very good run in between. I think so. Okay, so I guess Lennox versus Emmanuel Stewart is probably prime Lennox Lewis. So when he's about 20, from about 29 to sort of 36, 29 to 35, let's say around there. So that one versus 19, 20-year-old Tyson, who, cleaned out the division. I think at that time, I think Tyson would have got him. If you're going prime for prime of the two, especially like Cus D'Amato, actually no, because Cus wasn't there when he won the world titles. He had already died, so the titles was in his honor. That's a difficult one. I think I think it might still be Lennox, because Lennox in his prime had the better coach. Obviously, he had Emmanuel Stewart, whereas Costimoto wasn't there for the glory of Mike Tyson, but they had spars and they had very sort of engaging spars in the start of their career. So yeah, that's a difficult one. I think I'm gonna still edge it to Lennox because yeah, Prime Mike is obviously, we're talking up until Buster Douglas, but he stopped living the life. Whereas Lennox he had the better leash on him at that point, the better mentality. So I think I'm gonna give it to Lennox. But if we go both guys early years, or even Lennox before Emmanuel Stewart, then I got Mike Tyson all day. James, shout out to you. Merry Christmas, Space. Thank you for contributing to my year. No, thank you for being here to help me through mine. As a lot of people know, this hasn't been a great year for me personally, but being here doing the lives especially has helped more so than even just putting out, videos and stuff. Interacting with people has been a major help. So shout out. Tony, you've been strategically quiet on the discussions between Danny discussing the way we look at the 80s, 90s boxers versus today's boxers. That's purely because I just haven't really had much time to engage in the group. But Tony, for you, by tomorrow morning, I will give my thoughts and stuff on there. I gave you some thoughts already. I just haven't engaged in the constant back and forth between you lot. I think there are some of the guys of this era that would destroy some of the guys in the 80s and less of the guys in the 90s, but more of the guys in the 80s and 90s, I think, do damage to a lot of these. But I'll be very specific about it when I jump in. I will jump in it. I saw Evander fight live 5 times, including versus Tyson and Buster Douglas. Yeah. We know you're an old head, Tony. We know you was there when Luis Ortiz first started fighting as well. We get it. Ahija Selassie, yes, he's saying Merry Christmas to the people as well. Have you spoken on this Benavidez Morel Varda fiasco? No, I haven't. Personally, I don't really take much into it at this point in time. I mean, look, if you've got Team Benavidez, yelling about Varda, when Memo Heredia is on Benavidez's fitness and conditioning stuff, it's clearly a play that they're like, well, whatever we were potentially taking is going to be out of our system, but we want to make sure that you don't have the chance to do the same. That's how it appears to me. If they don't have Varda, they don't have Varda. If they do, they do. I mean, the thing is, there should be a layer of testing because the WBC interim title's on the line, which means both guys have got to be signed up to the WBC clean boxing program, which is administered by Varda. It's not the additional stuff, but it's there. So I guess we'll have to wait and see kind of what they do. I'm happy that Usyk got the chance to achieve this, but he was lucky to come at a time where boxing super series and now Turkey take over. Otherwise, he would have been. Oh yeah, 100%. If it wasn't for, first thing, we got to really big up man like Cal Sauerland, because if it wasn't for him and that WBSS and the fact that the cruiserweight division was never a glamour division. So the big stars weren't there. And because the big stars weren't there, all of the guys were keen to fight each other to prove dominance. If he was at heavyweight at that time, yeah, the things like that, WBSS would have never happened. And then without all of this Saudi money, the big earners, the Joshuas and the Furies, would have never went anywhere near him. He would have had to run Murderer's Row gauntlets just to get that mandatory opportunity at heavyweight, and then they just would have probably dropped the belt. So no, it's not worth it. So yeah, definitely. Is the Tank versus Lamont Roach fight actually cancelled? I don't know. I mean, I know Tank said the fight's off. Maybe there's this issue with the funding for it. Maybe they realize they're not going to get the money on the pay-per-views. I don't know. Obviously, and I guess in the new year we will find out a little more about that. But it's not a big detraction for any of us if that is the case, because it was never a fight people was asking for. All right. I'm gonna do the last couple of comments, ladies and gentlemen, and then I got a bounce. I've actually got to be somewhere at 9 o'clock. So yeah, oh yeah, salute to G man. I Lucan, if Umar press him too much, he will get sacked as Bok Nation. It's just another branch of Queensbury. I know, but the difference is he pressed him more in this particular interview and some interviews I've seen recently than he ever did when he was on IFL. So maybe he feels comfortable in the Box Nation thing. And also, initially, that channel wasn't called Box Nation. I think it got bought over by Box Nation, but it was called something else because he acquired the channel from someone else, and it was called something else, and then it became Box Nation afterwards. So he might feel a bit more empowered now to, like, because he's got such a high profile, he can get away with more stuff than he did before. Dubois is like a person who doesn't think before he speaks, although I can't say much myself because I do it sometimes as well, so I can relate to that. Or a lot of that is youth. A lot of people in sort of youth and younger years just act off instinct and emotion and think about consequences later. You think about consequences more when you get older. What's your take on Italma versus Miller? You reckon Miller will try to boy Italma in the fight build-ups? Oh yeah, well, you got to try and find the physical edge to get under his skin. It'd be a good fight, but I don't think it's a fight that he needs to take, that he would have to take right now. That's a fight you let him have a little bit down the line. Prime Lennox over Mike Tyson for me. No, I hear that. Like I said, Prime Lennox had Emmanuel Stewart in this corner, but any Lennox without Emmanuel Stewart, I would go for Tyson, early years Tyson, over him personally. Shout out to EMGM Sports 199 super chat. Oh, well, you've got two 199s. Appreciate it. Cam Martin Bacoli beat Usyk. If he catches him, yes, but I think Usyk will be able to. I think Usyk could do a very similar job on him that Michael Hunter did, but the difference would be he's got a better gas tank than Michael Hunter did, so he would be more. He'd make Bacoli have to move a lot more. Bacoli couldn't come in at 285, 290, and unless he's thinking I'm just going instant destruction for 3 rounds, he'd have to trim down because he will get overworked and tired out like Hunter did, and Usyk will still pepper him, and he could potentially stop him the same way. Hot Pies, Merry Christmas to you as well. Another 199 super chat. Shout out. Thank you very much. NIGP just got here, so might have already done. Some things got me feeling like Parker might actually derail the Dubois train. It's for potential. It is a potential. Philip, shout out to you. Merry Christmas. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we got another stream on Friday, non-boxing related, but please make sure you jump onto that one if you want to see anything outside of that. But for right now, it's the Hardcore Casual out.
Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see. But who better than me? I don't care if you agree. I ain't saying that I'm better than anyone, but who better than me?